Caught you. Told you.
Y'all just witnessed me admiring my intro because I haven't seen it in a very long time. And I was like, dang, I'm glad they seeing this intro before they see me because your girl looking dusty. That's okay, because next time you see me, I'm going to have my shit together. But
you looking dusty today? You think so?
Yeah, I'm looking like dusty all day. I don't got no lashes on. I need my eyebrows done, but that's neither here nor there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Conversations with Coco with me, your host, Coco. I was thinking, and I feel like I want to start giving episode numbers, but I'm so far gone at this point. I don't know what episode number this is. I would have to go back in the archives and count. I'm just curious.
They're meaningless. Numbers don't matter.
Just curious. Just
the content.
Just out of curiosity.
The flow of the episode about. That's all you need to know.
Yes, I like that too. I'm glad.
And it doesn't put you in a box.
True. Thank you. You need to feel better about not knowing.
That's why I'm producing. You can't do this without me. Continue.
Please don't start. Did y'all miss our riffraff? We have been off the air since September.
Here you go with the numbers. You put this in a box. You put this in a box.
I know y'all miss me because I missed y'all for real. I've been trying to get in here for a while, but my producer has been dad extraordinaire as he should be, and that's what takes priority. So, you have to let him be a dad.
Why is everybody blaming me for missing their show?
It's not a bad thing. You've been buying tires and dancing and fundraising and doing all types of stuff. You've been a dad.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think she may have gotten close to the $10,000 mark. I think she got close to $10,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's the
I don't know what that means. I don't know what everybody else raised.
So what does the money go towards? Like it's a fundraiser or scholarship or something?
There's a scholarship involved. They don't get the full scholarship. Obviously, the foundation who runs the event takes money off the top or whatever. Don't get me started on that, because at the Alpha Phi Alpha Botillion, all the money raised goes to all the bows. Like they all get, like even gets down to like if you come in like 5th place or 6th place or something like that, you get like a $500 book scholarship. So which probably ain't nothing in these days.
College. God, back probably then, not.
Back then, $500 got you at least a first semester in books.
Yeah. Well, shout out to you, because it got funny at the end because you was like, yeah, I'm begging. And then you had posted Jodeci and those other suits.
Yeah, because I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, look here, I'm going beyond my understanding of what I do, and I'm begging. This is for the babies. This ain't for me. If it was for me, I would not have no money. But it's for my kids. So.
Yeah, that's what's up. And you've been Amazoning out here in these streets with the scary Halloween decorations.
Let me tell you.
So he been busy, y'all. He been busy.
Let me tell you, when you're out in the rural areas of Wisconsin in pitch black, and you are charged to take a package up to the doorstep, and you don't know what you're about to encounter until the motion lights come on.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. And people are like, "Oh, you scary?"
No, that's scary.
It's some real shit. Like
I was doing it in Texas, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm already like, because the thing about it, you be on a major highway and it'd be like, turn left, unnamed road, which sounds scary already.
And then you driving on rocks.
Places like Thiensville and like Rockland and all these places, they have these driveways that go through like little forests. Like
yes, and it's long.
It's long. It's like almost like a half mile.
And then a house emerges.
All of a sudden, the house just pops out in the back. So you get to the house in the back. The last one I posted with the witch. I don't know if you saw the one with the witch floating.
Yeah, I did.
Out of all of the shit I posted, that shit scared the shit out of me, because I did not expect some shit to just be floating in the air. You know, it was dope because she was holding onto a broomstick that was planted in the ground, but it was like a kite. So she was moving a little bit.
That was me in Texas. So I believe me, I get it. And the thing about me is that I'm never going to put my safety come first. I don't care what it is. So it was a lot of times where if that shit looked too off for me, oh, you just not gonna get this. We gonna let the shift behind me when the lights is on and the sun out. We gonna just let them do that. But it was a lot of times it was properties when the sun was out that they were scared. Yeah. It would be a lot of times where I would deliver and it would just be deer everywhere, like deer.
I don't mind
all
dogs.
types of wildlife.
I don't mind the dogs. I don't
No.
mind. I don't like obscure places. Or the last place I just went to, he was like, you don't get the directions, so you pull all the way up to the house. And I pull up in the driveway and I looked at the directions. He was like, place item at the end of the driveway. Do not drive the driveway. I have cameras in place to actually. And it was some kind of warning that went along with it. And I'm looking around like, is he gonna shoot me? Like, what the fuck is
I'm
this?
not gonna play the games. No,
like around the election time, I was like, I
applaud you for being out there in the dark like that, because it's a no for me.
And my standing is great. My standing is great.
Mine is fair. It's gonna stay like that. I don't care, because the thing about me is I will throw it. I want it. It sounds so bad, but hey. If it's either me or this package.
Hey, if you ever get a package from an Amazon person, make sure you get in the app and compliment the driver.
Are they doing the $5 thing?
It goes a long way. They haven't done it yet. I'm sure they're gonna do it around Christmas time.
Yeah, it definitely does go a long way.
Yeah, but once that happens, it doesn't go retroactive to the other ones that I got, because I have 100+ in each category, but I don't have. When they start running the ad, I don't get any. It just happens that way.
So yeah, y'all, we are back. We're gonna start off with the mood segment. I'm going to get into today's show. Okay, so we about to start off with the mood. Like damn, see how mood. Like damn. Now here's what I like about the mood today. I feel like men have grabbed hold of this song and it has become theirs. And I'm not mad at it. I love to see it. So I saw this video online this week and I thought it was so like just cute and just like heartwarming. So I picked this as my mood today.
So I'm gonna need a little backup right here, but this is her little birthday. Hit it, Big Mike. I need her to be kind.
This was the cutest thing. It actually is a longer version of this, and they actually embraced at the end. But that was just so cute to me.
It was his wife's birthday, and he brought her to the locker room, and I don't think she knew what was happening. I don't think the guys even knew. He just played the music.
That was so cute to me. I just love how I hear men singing and playing that song way more than women. Like you could be driving down the street and you'll see a nigga blasting Fantasia. I'm mad at it. So I said I want to put a trigger warning on today's episodes, respectfully so, of course, because as you can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about domestic violence. October was Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it made me sad because I didn't really see anybody talking about it. Like I didn't hear about it on any shows. I didn't really see it on my social media. And it kind of made me sad a little bit. Unfortunately, it hit home for me, not only from my own experiences, but from familial experiences as well. And I said that it was always going to be the thing that I was never going to be quiet about. And I was always going to talk about and bring awareness to, because I feel like we don't do enough. We don't do enough in the city. We don't do enough in this country. We don't do enough in this world when it comes to domestic violence. And I feel like if we did, there would be so many lives saved. So I did want to put a trigger warning on this because I do understand that it could be a difficult conversation for people to have and a difficult conversation for people to hear. I acknowledge in advance that it's probably going to be difficult for me because I've never really opened up about my journey with anybody. And when I say anybody, I mean even the people closest to me are going to hear things that they didn't even know. It was such a dark period in my life that I feel like I pushed it so to forget it, and I didn't want to really talk about it until I was ready. And I'm very willing to talk about my journey with it, especially if it will allow somebody listening to recognize the signs in somebody around them or themselves, or if it will save a life. Now, there's still going to be certain aspects and certain, things and details that I probably would never say out loud just because but I'm going to do the best that I can. So to start off, I do want to come from like an educational perspective. I want to provide a proper definition of what domestic violence is. And I also want to talk about statistics. And I pulled statistics from right here in the city. So I did the city of Milwaukee and then the state of Wisconsin as a whole. And then we'll kind of go from there. Ghetto. I'll put that on vibrates. The definition of domestic violence, a pattern of coercive behavior used by one person to gain power and control over another in an intimate or familial relationship. Now, you'll hear a lot of different breakdowns. You'll also hear intimate partner violence, and that is more particular to like an actual romantic relationship. So that's the definition of it. Now, when we go to this next graphic here, these are statistics that I went online and pulled. I think I might have got these from Fox 6 News Milwaukee. These are the most recent statistics from the beginning of 2022 to the end of last year. And it's actually sad. So in 2022, there were 7,936 cases, and it actually increased by 12%. I was hoping to find something stating that it decreased or, you know, even if it stayed the same. Unfortunately, I did not expect for it to go up 12%. 12% might not seem like a lot, but it honestly is. And that is sad. And as I was reading, I think I read something that said that 2024 is not going to be any better. We're ending out this year, and there is definitely going to be another increase. So, yeah.
12% is 1,000? Wow.
Makes me sad.
That's about that's 1,000.
Mm-hmm. And this year, once they do it for this year, it's going to increase even more. So I'm interested to see how much it increases. So the next graphic kind of goes over the facts. Is this US or is this? So the website that I got this from is In Domestic Abuse, I think Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. So it looks like I did pull a graphic from the country as a whole. So it basically says 12 million every year in the US. Women ages 18 to 34 generally experience the highest rates of intimate partner violence. An average of 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in the US, more than 12 million people per year. Over 1 in 3 million and over 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men in the US have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. So next slide. Okay, so in Wisconsin, it basically is saying that the rates in Wisconsin consistently align with the national statistics, with about 32% of reports being against women and 23% against men in 2022. On a single day in 2022, surveyed domestic violence frontline service providers served 1,938 victims served victims and survivors, received 825 hotline contacts, and had 319 unmet requests for services, mostly for housing and emergency shelter due to lack of resources. So yeah, like the thing with domestic violence is the resource thing. It just isn't enough. And I'm going to kind of talk about that towards the end today. And by resources, the funding needed for, you know, when people want to leave these situations and they need housing assistance, they need emergency shelter, they need clothes, they need food for, you know, themselves or their children. Like the resources, they're just not enough. And I think that if the resources were in more of abundance, then people, they might, you know. So that's it for the graphics. So as I indicated before, I have talked about it probably briefly on social media, and I'm going to do that one last. Yeah, nope, it's okay. Yeah, once I tell the story, then I'm going to go over that. In the 2 relationships that I've had in my life, I experienced domestic violence in both of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of start in the beginning and work my way down. And please excuse me if I pause, because the goal is for me not to be emotional today. especially not. We not gonna do that. So, my first instance began with my child's father. Him and I got together when I was 18 years old, freshman year of college. This was like fall 2005. I was 18. He was 20 something. Had to have been like probably like 21, maybe 22. And he was my first everything. And when I say everything, everything. I had not had a boyfriend. I had not had sex. I had not had any of that. He was my first experience with everything. And at the time, I did not know the wild ride that I was going to be taken on for the next 4 years of my life. Now, when the situation first began, I would say it definitely was a honeymoon phase. I was in a transitional period. I was 18. I was out on my own. I was in college. This was when I was at Marquette. I was learning how to live life as an adult, quote unquote, because we know 18-year-olds are really no. And so he came in very early. You figure I got to school in August, and I think him and I had got together before the end of the year. So in the beginning, there were red flags that I should have paid attention to and went the other way. And I didn't, simply because everything was so new to me and I was excited about it. I kind of just brushed it off. I didn't really pay too much attention to it. There were early signs of like cheating, and he had addictions. He was addicted to marijuana. He had alcohol addictions. And looking back on it now, I recognize that he had a lot of like mental things that just didn't, like, things just were not the way that they were supposed to be. And if I had recognized that early on, I would have got out when I could. So him and I were together for 2 years before we broke up. My sophomore year of Marquette, I moved to Florida to work for Disney. I had applied for an internship and I got accepted. So I was living in Florida on Disney's campus, they called it, with a bunch of college kids. At this time, I think I was about 20. And that was the first time in 2 years that I have felt free. And I was actually able to like live like a regular 20-year-old. His parents had moved to Orlando as well. They got there a little bit before I did. So I think I was living down there for maybe like a year. Actually, no, it wasn't even a year. It might have been like 6 months. And then here he comes. He moved down there. He moved with his parents. And we kind of ended up like rekindling our situation. So at that time that he moved down there, I had my own motion. I was working for Disney. I'm working 10 to 12 hour days at this point. I am working in 100-degree weather, wearing a full-blown spacesuit. And when I say a spacesuit, I mean short sleeve Dickies shirt, big baggy Dickies pants, working Space Mountain in Magic Kingdom.
That's abuse
in 100 degrees.
It's abuse in itself.
100-degree weather, 10 to 12 hours, taking a bus to and from home, 2-hour commute.
You took the bus with the space? I
did. But in Orlando, it was normal.
Oh,
I mean, people would know, and they would know, oh, you work for Disney or you work for Universal. It's a theme park city. So you will see people dressed up as things all the time, and it's normal.
So why were you dressed in a spacesuit? I'm sorry.
Because I worked in Tomorrowland. Have you ever been to Disney World before?
That's been a while.
So Disney is separated with different, they have Fantasyland. I think they have Tomorrowland. They have, I can't remember all of them, but they have different lands. It's been 20 Tomorrowland years. Had like Space Mountain, Carousel of Progress, Toy Story. Tomorrowland was futuristic.
Gotcha. Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
That's how it's futuristic. So if you're working in that area, you are dressed futuristic. Mm-hmm. So that's why I had that on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just trying to.
No, you dressed in a theme. I worked in housekeeping there, for example, and I worked on a resort that was, I think it was like Mexico themed. So like my housekeeping outfit was like Mexican theme. Yeah, but yeah, I think they called it like a casita, or I don't know. I don't remember, but yeah. So I make some good money doing that too. So I had my own motion. I had my own place. Once I moved off of Disney's campus, I found a roommate that actually was working for Disney as well. Had us a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Rent was anywhere between like $7 to like $9 something a month. Her and I were paying it. It was fine. Now working for Disney, I was not making a lot of money. When I initially moved down there, I think I was making anywhere from like $6.65 to like $7.50. I was not making a lot, but somehow, some way, I was working enough hours to be able to take care of my responsibilities. Once him and I rekindled, it was like a dark cloud had kind of went over me in my life. Like that dark cloud that I had got rid of came back, and I felt like he was worse. So it was the emotional abuse, it was a verbal abuse, and it was also the physical abuse. Anytime he would be drinking or he would get too high or he would get upset, like I was getting slapped around and pushed and shoved and cussed out. It was always just like a thing. It felt like I was in a twilight zone. Now that I'm looking back on it, I worked 10 to 12 hours a day, and actually, surprisingly, work was a relief as hard as it was because I didn't have to be at home dealing with him. He wasn't doing shit.
You met him there?
No, I met him here in Milwaukee.
Okay.
When my freshman year at Marquette.
Right. I remember you saying that, but
no, he's from here. Like, man,
but he
from here.
He went to
he
Orlando.
moved to Orlando because his parents lived there.
Gotcha.
So me and his parents stayed in the same apartment complex.
Gotcha.
So it didn't really take us long to like rekindle. Now, during this time, we had been broken up for that amount of time. He got a girl pregnant while he was visiting his parents, and that girl was from here as well. So by the time him and I got together, his parents are pastors. We were going to church. The girl was at church and she was pregnant, and nobody told me that she was pregnant by him. I didn't find out until the baby came, and it's clear that that was his baby. So it was just like this secret that nobody let me in on. Right. And mind you, his parents were pastors. Keep that in mind. So again, like this dark cloud is just over me, and he is really like, he's draining every bit of energy that I have. So there was this time where, now mind you, a lot of this story, I was young and dumb. I fully acknowledge that. When I was getting paid, I did not have a bank account. I would get my check. I would go to the check cashing place and cash it, and I would have cash. So I would stash most of it like somewhere in my room, and then I would walk around with a certain amount just so I could have money in my pocket. Was that the best idea? No. But at that time, I honestly just didn't know any better. When you know better, you do better. I didn't know better. So I would have hiding places in my room that I would stash my rent money and any extra money I had. Every time I got paid biweekly, I took my half of the rent, I broke that down in half again, and I put it up to the side. So then when the first of the month rolled around, me and my roommate put our money together, we pay rent. I remember coming home from work, and I vividly remember this. Coming home from work, and her and I think it was towards the end of the month. And I remember her being like, all right, let's go ahead and bust this rent down and figure out who's going to do what. So we basically would take the rent to the office. We would either give them cash or one of us would get like a money order or something on the way. We had already had that going on before he even got there. I remember going in my room. I looked in my stash to get the money. All of my money was gone. This nigga had took my entire half. And when I say my entire half, I'm talking about it had to have been anywhere from maybe $400 to $500. So I'm like, okay, I had this money and it's not here anymore. Like, what's tea? What happened? He going off, I ain't take nothing from you, and you implying that I stole from you. And then before he got there, me and my roommate never had any issues. We didn't go in each other's stuff. If she was bringing niggas to the house, it wasn't nobody being weird or creepy or touching stuff. You had ample opportunity, because I'm gone from home damn near 14 hours a day, to rummage through my room, and he stole every dime that I had. So what does that mean? I'm not able to pay my rent at all. Not able to pay my rent. Now, I don't remember how we ended up getting out of that, or if we even did. No, actually, the apartment complex, because we had been living there for a while, I think they gave us honestly, I think we might have had like 2 months to come up with it. They were living in Florida at that time. They were not as quick and swift with evictions as they probably are like here, or they probably are now. You figure this is all the way back in like 2008. So it took them a while to kind of catch up to it. So of course, by the time they caught up to it, we are way behind at this point. So there were times that I recall, like, he did not work, he did not pay for nothing, he did not do half as much as he was supposed to. During this period of time, after him taking like the money, I went so many like days and nights without food. I didn't have money to buy food. The bulk of the food that I was getting it from work. And I don't know if people know this about Disney. Disney throws away so much food, and it's against policy for an employee to take it home. Like when I was working in food service, we would have pizzas, fries, salads, ice cream, all types of fresh food that we had just made and we closed. All of that food had to go in the garbage. So we had got to the point where we set up an operation where we would look out for each other, and we would all just like stash the food before we left in like bags and book bags. We'll leave the area and separate it, and then everybody kind of go their separate way. And we shouldn't even have had to do that. But there was many nights where I ended up having to go without because of this nigga. Now, there was a time where I was on my way home, and he told me to stop at this guy's house. And this guy was a dealer. So I knew he was selling weed. I didn't know what else he was selling. I didn't care about it. He told me to stop at this guy's house and ask him if he was good. That's the code. Ask him if he good. So again, for me, I'm like, okay.
You're a dope dealer now?
Okay, whatever. So I go to this guy's door, and he like, oh, hey, what up? He recognized me because he hangs out with my roommate. And I was like, yeah. I was like, AJ told me to come ask you if you good. And so the guy looked at me and he was like, what? And I was like, he told me to come ask you if you good. And he was like, he sent you over here to ask me that? And I was like, yes. And he kind of put his head down and he shook his head, and he was like, nah, baby girl, tell him nah. Tell him no, just tell him I don't have it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not thinking anything of it. Come to find out, he owed this nigga money. And when I say he owed him money, he owed him a lot of money. So you put me in a situation where he could have abducted me, he could have killed me, all because you owe him money. And I'm walking into a situation naive and dumb. I don't know any of this is going on at all. So I think probably like a month or two after this, I ended up finding out I was pregnant. Now, what's messed up about me being pregnant is that I was thinking about this as I was trying to put my thoughts together for this show. I don't recall during that period of time, like sex being pleasurable for me at all, or sex being something that I wanted to do. It was something that I felt like I had to do. Even when we were doing it, it was always protected. I literally remember exactly when I got pregnant for Dylan. And there's a word for this that I was trying to remember, and I can't remember, but it's a term where like a guy slips off a condom without you knowing it. I don't know if it's stealthing or it's a term that I didn't get a chance to look it up, but he definitely like pulled a fast one on me because that's what he wanted to do. And lo and behold, I end up getting pregnant. So here I am, pregnant. I end up leaving Disney because being pregnant, it was just too hard for me to be on my feet all day and working. So I ended up finding a job at Victoria's Secret that was closer to home. It decreased the commute, and I wasn't on my feet as long as I would have been if I was working for Disney. So switched over jobs. I'm working there.
Stealthing.
Is that what it's called?
Wow, it's a form of rape.
Stealthing. Yeah, it's when you take the condom off.
I didn't see it as a form of rape though.
I mean, yeah, because it's usually not consensual.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually not it's usually not consensual. So finding out I was pregnant, I was absolutely devastated because this is the last thing that I need at this point. Now, with me working this new job and not working that many hours, again, money is not in abundance. And I'm at the point now where I'm no longer able to keep up with my finances. I'm not able to keep up with this house. I'm not able to keep up with this like food, and things were just like spiraling. The only work that he would do, he was a church musician. On Sundays, he would play the keyboard or drums. They would pay him. The only thing that he would do with his money is buy 4 Locos, the drinks, wine Black and Milds. That's why to this day, the smell of both of those make my stomach hurt. And he would buy a hot meal. That was the only day that he provided a meal. Because the finances were not there, again, going back to the fact that, mind you, I'm pregnant with my son and I don't have food in my house. To this day, I have an ick with mashed potatoes because when I was hungry, we usually had instant mashed potatoes, and that's what I was eating. Instant mashed potatoes. And it's like he just didn't care at all. Like, you have this pregnant girlfriend, you're not doing anything to assist, we don't have food. And eventually we ended up getting kicked out of the house. I can't pay the rent. You're not trying to pay the rent. So we ended up moving in with his brother, who also stayed in the same complex. By the time we moved in with his brother, I was depleted. I was in my first trimester of pregnancy. I was keeping up with my doctor's appointment, and my doctor got worried because I lost 25 pounds my first trimester of pregnancy. And my doctor's like, you're going backwards. You should be gaining, but you're losing, and this is not good. And in my mind, I'm like, nigga, I'm barely eating. And I am in distress. So yes, I'm life is, yeah. So yes, I'm losing weight because I don't have resources that I need. So we're at his brother's house. And I remember being fed up, and we ended up arguing again over money. Cause I'm like, at this point, enough is enough. Like, what are you going to do? I can't do all of this shit by myself. He completely goes off, hauls off, and I'm getting slapped, choked, punched, the whole 9. He told me to get out. Get out. Where am I supposed to go? I'm pregnant. I don't know nobody here. Where am I supposed to go? He told me to get out. He actually started taking my things and putting them outside on the curb, all of my stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like, this is real. Okay. So I think I might grab my purse and like the little stuff I can carry. I'm leaving out the house. He at the top of the stairs. He tries to push me down the stairs. We are on the 2nd floor of the complex, and it is a lot of stairs. At this point, I am about 4 months pregnant with Dylan, and he is trying to push me down the flight of stairs. My saving grace was that I was able to grip the railing hard enough to where, as he was trying to push me, I was able to like grip my hands and my feet enough to be able to keep me from falling. Now, 4 months pregnant, I'm small at this time. You can tell that I'm pregnant. Anybody walking past will be able to tell that I'm pregnant. And you're yelling at me and you're trying to push me down the flight of stairs. So I am on the side of the road, homeless, 4 months pregnant, nowhere to go at all. And he just went back in the house like it was nothing. I sat on the side of the road for hours because I did not know what I was going to do. And by this time, I wasn't talking to my friends like that. And not because anything was wrong. During this period of time, I was estranged from everybody. I would check in with my grandma every so often. I wasn't talking to my mom. I literally felt like in that moment I had nobody.
How old are you again?
21. No. 22? This was 2009.
Young.
January 2009.
Young.
Mm-hmm. So somehow I ended up calling somebody, and actually it's a girl. She's from here. She had already moved back home, but I think I had messaged her, and I was telling her what was going on, and she was like, "Oh my God!" She was like, "Call Shaman. Like, he lives up the street from you." Now, when we were in Florida, we were clubbing. Like, when I first moved down there, we was at the club Thirsty Thursdays. We was at the club Friday, and we was at the club Saturday. We didn't miss no club days. So with us being at the club so much, we got to know the promoters, the security guards, hanging out with them outside of the club. So Shaman was a security guard for one of the clubs we went to, and he became friends with us. I ended up calling Shaman. Shaman left work and he came to pick me up. It took everything in me to get him to not go up those stairs to get dude. I just didn't want him to be caught in any crossfire. So Shaman picked me up. He got all of my stuff. Shaman let me stay with him for a month, rent free. He fed me. He took care of me. He wasn't on no weird creepy shit. He didn't try me. He didn't try to have sex with me. And actually, rest in peace to him, because he ended up, I think he like passed away of like a heart attack a couple of years ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But when I tell you, he took care of me for like that entire month, and I didn't have like a care in the world at all. So I ended up meeting this girl that I worked with, and I ended up transitioning from his house to her house. By the time I got to her house, I was like, I need help. So I broke down and I called my mom and I was like, hey, like, I know, like, we haven't talked. I'm pregnant. I told her I'm not safe and I just need to come home. Because if I don't come home, I don't know how long I'll last here. She didn't ask no questions. She was like, okay, let me work on this and I'm going to circle back to you. So she ended up contacting my dad, who I had no contact with at all at that time, not him or his side of the family. She called my dad. My dad called my other siblings. My one sister called. Now, back then, they had no Cash App, no Zelle or nothing. So people had to Western Union me money. So my sister immediately, they got money together and Western Union it to me. My mom got money together and Western Union it. And I ended up being able to get a flight back to Milwaukee. And that's when I came back here. Once I got here, that was the first time that I felt alive. I was able to have a hot meal anytime I wanted. I started putting weight back on and I felt safe. I was right in my grandma's house my entire pregnancy. Now, even though I felt safe, I was depressed severely because I'm pregnant by this nigga. The abuse was real. And the trauma of everything I had gone through. Homeless, hungry. I never thought that my life would be anything like it was. My pregnancy was a very, very dark moment for me. You don't see any pictures of me being pregnant. There might be like one floating around somewhere. There were no pictures. There was no baby shower. There were not any like happy moments. And I think that's why I said if I ever got pregnant again, I probably would do things over the top because I just deserved a better pregnancy than I had. I was very private back then. So people until and they also didn't know, like, I mean, my family and my friends, they didn't know the abuse that I went through, which is why a lot of what I say today, they probably gonna be like, damn, like, so I think about a month later, he ended up coming back to Milwaukee as well. And there was never an official breakup between us. I was just done. Like, I was done. So when he came back, he would pop up here and there while, like, towards the end of the pregnancy, ended up having another girl pregnant. So all of these kids are back to back at this point. He ended up being there for the delivery. And he was absolutely, he pretty much like used it as a hotel stay, honestly. He really slept the whole time. He did not help change a diaper. He did not help feed. He didn't help do anything. He literally slept my entire postpartum. He slept. Now, the part that I skipped was not only, here's the thing. His parents knew he had an issue. There were times that I mentioned it. They did not care. His parents were his biggest enablers. So many times, his mom tried to convince me to get an abortion. She kept telling me he didn't need to have any more kids. If he didn't need to have any more kids, then why is he still fucking? Please tell me. So you were trying to coerce me into getting an abortion, and I'm not doing it. That's not what I want to do. I'm not going to. Instead of you acknowledging that your son has a problem. Well, they enable this son so much to the point now, to this day, he is incarcerated. You want to know why he's incarcerated? Sexual assault of a minor. And not only that, he tried to escape from jail. So it's all over the news. So by the time he gets out of jail, my son will be in his early 20s. Now I'm trying to tell y'all way early on that he has a problem and he needs help. And y'all completely ignored it and put it on me and made it seem like it was me. I haven't seen them since July of 2009, and I have not seen him since 2009. All of these years, they act like my child does not exist. And you know what? Cool. Perfectly fine. But the enablers are the reason why he's in jail for sexual assault of a minor.
Do you know the story behind it, or is just that?
I don't, and I don't want to know the story at all. I don't. I don't know the story. I didn't read the notes. I found that because I was looking up the address to send him paperwork to fill out for Dylan's passport, and I ran into that.
So are you guys about the same age? Is
That's the thing too that I ran into recently, and my mind can't wrap myself around it. I was told that he was born in 1984.
So he'd be
10/10/1984.
He'd be 40. When
I looked on CCAT, so I can find the information I needed, so I can try to, in order for me to get Dylan's passport, I need 2 parent signatures. So I was going to try to see if I can get him to at least sign before I take the next steps and do all the extra stuff they're going to make me do. I just want a signature. I don't want to talk to you. I don't have to see you. Sign these papers. I'll put money on your books or a stamp in an envelope, send it back. That's it. At all. His date of birth online shows that he was born in 1981. I cannot wrap my mind around that, because if he was born in 1981, then when we met, that would have made him way older than he said, which made it even more predatory. And I feel like my mind can't process that right now. And I'm just not going to. That would mean for so many years I was lied to about how old he was, and he would have been well into his 20s when I was 18.
So he's 44.
If he was born in 84, he would be, I was born in 87. If he was born in 84, based off of that birthday, he would be 3 years older. So that means he would have just turned 40. Right?
Mm-mm.
Wait,
no. See. If he's 84 is 40.
His birthday was just last month.
So he's 43.
You're not at 84?
No, you say he was born in 81.
No, if he was.
If he's born in 84, he's 40. Yes. If he's born in 81, he's 43.
1981. Yeah. So that means that he would be 6 years older than me. So when we met, he would have been 24, something like that. Which honestly would have made sense, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sick because I thought that my mind can't process that. But yeah, he's incarcerated. So it's just crazy how all of those years added up, and then this is where he is. Because it's like, see, this is what I was trying to tell y'all, but y'all wanted to be delusional because you could have got him help, and there was another victim now, and that's absolutely horrendous. And then for some reason, he thought he was going to escape from jail. Like, that just shows that his mind didn't. When people say that their children saved their lives, it's true. If I did not have my son, I can guarantee you that he would have killed me eventually. There's no doubt in my mind. Having my son prompted me to stay away and not go back, and I never did. Like I said, I have not seen him since 2009, like at all. I never went back.
Have his parents seen?
Nope, they have not seen Dylan since July of 2009. I was 6 weeks postpartum. Dylan was 6 weeks old. And they have not seen him. They do not reach out. I have tried to reach out a few times over the year for the sake of my child, and it has gone to no avail. I think many years ago I had heard it through the grapevine. I think it was some speculation as far as like, oh, it's not his. I wish that was the case, actually, because it maybe if I had a different baby daddy, then the situation would be different. When we went to court, you could have got a DNA test then. You could have got one then. When they asked him, I looked at him. No, I don't need it. I know he mine. Oh, okay. Even when we went to court, his dad came with him. This is a grown ass man. Why is your dad here? This is why he not gonna ever grow up and do what he needs to do, because y'all do shit like this.
His parents elderly? Were they elderly at the time?
His parents are probably like your age. No bullshit. And they're pastors. But you want me to get an abortion. Everything is on me. Nothing is on him. He doesn't have to take any accountability for putting me through hell for 4 years of my life. 4.
Wait, if he's 40, he ain't been my age. His parents ain't my age.
His parents?
Oh, back then they were.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, maybe not. It's been so long. Maybe they would be in their 60s.
I'm trying to imagine me having a 40-year-old. Yeah, they could be in 60. They could be in their 60s.
They gotta be, yeah. In their 60s. But yep, church. Yeah. So
I thought maybe he was like the baby and they were elderly. And
no, he's the oldest. They have 3 boys. He's the oldest. And then they have a middle one. He's about my age. And then they have a younger one. He's a couple years under us.
It works the same way. If they're older, they get spoiled. And if they're the youngest, they get spoiled. The middle.
No, he grew up in a 2-parent household. Because people swear he grew up he had both parents in the household. And they were severe enablers.
Like Papa Doc.
Literally. It's yes, by the time he got to jail, Dylan will be older and he'll be able to deal with that however he wants to. I don't down talk him. I don't talk about him at all. I get shit done. He doesn't exist. He hasn't, and that's kind of just, it is what it is.
I can talk bad about him though.
Whoever else can. I mean,
he definitely was predatory. Took advantage of your age. Took advantage of the
and my mindset at the time. I feel like
the opportunity. Right, you said you were estranged, so that was definitely I'm going to take advantage of her.
And it took advantage of the fact that I told you, I had my own motion. Like I had a job, I had my own house. It
was sexy to be. I'm going to Orlando. Hey, I can go to Orlando. My parents there, kind of thing.
And that's how it started. He ended up being with his parents, and then somehow ended up over here with me again. And of course, if I had somebody to be like, girl, that ain't the move. Like, just let that nigga. If I had like an older person or like a mentor or somebody, then I feel like I wouldn't have been there. But with him being my first everything, I didn't know nothing else.
What's strange about that is, as a man, knowing that you are already enabled and possibly spoiled by your parents who have their own business, why are you taking advantage of somebody who doesn't have anything?
And his parents never, you need to get a job, you need to take care of your family, you need to, there was never any of those conversations. It's
they weren't breaking them off with nothing to do it though?
I'm sure they were,
but
I'm sure of course they was giving him like something here and there, but there was no requirement for him. You need to get a job, you need to take care of her, you need to take care of your family, you need to stop being an asshole. It was none of that shit. None of it. It was, I was on my own, I got pregnant, you need to get an abortion. His mom would come to my job when I worked at Macy's. She would start the conversation off regular and she would be like, did you think more about what we talked about? I'm not getting an abortion. But I'm not doing it.
You know what's normal though? Like I'm thinking back, God rest my mama soul. I know she wasn't the happiest because we weren't married, but when I first had my first and my now ex-wife would come around, every time she came around, she had something for her. It was some clothes, it was some diapers, it was some onesies, it was some formula, it was something. She would always, like, once she found out that this was happening, she didn't really have to worry about it. And his mom, anything.
She would terrorize me in so many different ways. Like,
you didn't have
she would do my hair. Like, she would be putting a relaxer on my hair and she'll bring up the part with the abortion. I'm not getting an abortion. There was a time where we were in church. I will never forget the shirt I had on. I had a long sleeve shirt on and it was longer. It went probably past my butt and I had leggings under it. And the shirt cut me right under my boobs. And I was pregnant at that time. Nobody at the church knew I was pregnant. I was getting bigger to the point where you could look at me and tell, because I'm small. I didn't have no stomach at that time. So you can tell you're a little pregnant. His mom literally told me after church, don't wear that shirt anymore because it makes you like you're showing. Okay, so now I can't wear this shirt anymore. All right. Okay. Now, one thing that I need to note, I was raised to be blindly compliant. I was raised, you do as I say, and you don't ask questions. That carried me throughout my life. So I ended up putting up with a lot of things and situations, and I just took it. And I didn't ask any questions. I just complied no matter how I felt about it. And that was the final decision. Whatever you tell me to do, whatever you tell me to say, wherever you tell me to go, that's what I'm going to do. So when you look at me today and I ask a lot of questions and I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the situation, because for 10 years of my life, from 2005 to 2015, I had no control over my life, and I didn't get to ask questions. Somebody else had control over all of that. Somebody else had control over me. So 2012 rolls around, and my ex-boyfriend comes into play. Now, him and I grew up together. He lived next door from me. His family owned the house we lived in. So his uncle was our landlord. So as kids, we liked each other. We never like dated or like went together. My mama didn't play that. But we liked each other. So as we got older, went our separate ways, we ended up linking back up, I think in like 2012. And that's when we ended up starting to date. He ended up doing a stint in jail for a little bit. And it wasn't anything violent. I don't know if it was a probation violation. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he ended up doing like a little stint in jail. So when he got out, we pretty much was full blown in a relationship. He wasn't out long before he was cheating and he was lying and he was on weed real bad and he was on Hennessy and God knows what else real bad. So I'm in the same cycle again. Now, when he would get drunk again, he would get handsy. But the thing about him is he was bigger and he was taller than my ex. Me and my son's dad was about the same height. But my ex, he was towering over me. So I feel like his blows they kind of packed more of a punch, right? Literally. He was extremely like verbally abusive, mentally abusive, and physically abusive every day, or at least every other day. I was fat and I was ugly. That was really like all he would say. I remember so many times him like pinning me up against the wall with like his hands around my neck or, his hands on my arms because he got pissed off. And it was always, you fat, you ugly, you ain't gonna ever be shit. If you ever left me, you'll never, find nobody else. You'll never have another relationship. So the brainwashing is so great at this point to where even sometimes to this day, I'm like, damn, that nigga said if I left him, I would never, ever have another relationship. And I've definitely been single ever since then. So I'd be lying if I said sometimes in my mind, I'm like, damn, did this nigga put a root on me or something? Because that's all he would tell me. Like when you are with somebody every day and all they do is call you fat and ugly, you start to believe that. So not only am I in a dark time, my confidence is zero. I feel nothing for myself. I'm hating myself. It was bad. He became a Hebrew Israelite. So,
boom.
If you've never heard of a Hebrew Israelite, basically they believe that we are the real Jews. There are 12 tribes of Israel and they have a whole list. Now, the Hebrew Israelites are the people that be like on the corners with like the fringes and the signs with the microphones. You'll see them like actually right out here on the corner of, what corner is this? It's
Burleigh and
yep, they be on this corner here. You might see them in Chicago. You might see them in New York.
Purple robes.
He's not the purple ones. They actually hate those. So the purple ones are IUIC. They don't like them.
There's different kinds.
He is a Hebrew Israelite with ISUPK. ISUPK, they believe that they're the superior of all of those organizations. IUIC, they don't like them. They're like enemies. I don't remember exactly why. But Hebrew Israelites, they believe in polygamy. So they believe that they can have as many women as they want. It's literally a dictatorship. Once he became that, things got really, really bad. And I feel like the brainwashing got worse. There were so many women coming out of the woodworks. It was hard to keep up. When I say so many women, I had women at my house at like 2 a.m. looking for him. Why do you even know where I live? Please tell me why you know where I live. So many nights I would wake up in the middle of the night looking for him. I would look out the window and he would literally be outside in the car with the door open, key in the ignition, literally passed out drunk. And I would have to go outside, turn the car off, close the door, and damn near carry this big nigga upstairs because I'm trying to keep him from going in jail. Just for him to sober up and get up and go preach a Bible study the next morning. Yeah. Every time he would get drunk, every time he would get high, anytime I did anything that he did not like or cared for, we was fighting. And when I say we, I wasn't fighting him. He was fighting me. Again, absolutely miserable. At that point, I think when he became the Hebrew Israelite, I was so brainwashed. I just was believing everything he said about me, everything he was saying about God, everything he was saying about Hebrew Israelites. I was brainwashed into thinking that this polygamy thing was just something that I just had to deal with. And honestly, I was terrified. I literally thought that if I left him, and because this is what he said, if I left him, then God was going to punish me. And that was either going to be really something really bad or like I was going to like die if I left him. And in my mind, I thought that if I left him, that God was going to do something really bad to me. And I did not want that. So I stayed put for all of those years. I think it was literally like 3 years. We got to a point where he had a car. Me and Dylan was on a bus trying to get him to take me to the grocery store, take me to pick up my kid, pick me up from work. He couldn't even be found most of the time. So it was me and my baby on the bus. I got to the point where I was tired. So I told him, I said, I think you need to find a place to live. Us being in the house together is not working. Maybe we can figure it out if we live separate. This is the same nigga where if I put the garbage can in front of the door, he moves it out the way to leave out the door instead of taking it and putting it in the garbage can. Now, what man does that? You move the garbage bag to go out the door and you ain't take the garbage with you. Useless. So I said, find somewhere to go. He had just got a job. So he said, cool. Found him somewhere to go. Now, this is the night that ended it. I'm going to try my best to get through this story. He was set to move out that weekend. I came home, I cooked, and I cleaned my house. I like my house clean, and things have to go in a certain place. I'm still like that to this day. I know where things are, so if something is missing, it doesn't take me long to pick up on it. Keep that detail in mind. He come in, and he's like, "What's wrong with you? Why you got an attitude? Like you ain't even greet me when I came in." And I'm like, "I'm good, whatever." I made dinner. I'll never forget. It was teriyaki with rice. He didn't like the fact that I put it on like a paper plate, or it was something that he didn't like. I handed it to him. He threw it at me. So it's rice and sauce and chicken and shit everywhere. And I had just cleaned. Okay. So I told him, I said, I think you need to leave. I said, I think you need to figure out how to move in earlier or you need to go to your mom's house. And I'm going to help you. So I start gathering his things and attempting to take it downstairs. That's when all hell broke loose. He literally like grabbed me, damn near like shoot me across the room. So I get up and I'm like, no, you need to go. Now, mind you, Dylan is like 5 at the time, maybe 6. He sleep in another room. I'm like, no, you need to leave now. Like you seriously, like you need to go now. I'm going to help you. I'm taking his stuff downstairs to his car. While I'm outside, this nigga is cleaning me out. He took my laptop. He took the DVD player. He took money. He took so much shit. As soon as I came back upstairs, I look on the entertainment center, the slot where the laptop missing. Where my laptop at? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Again, I start going through his stuff to look. At this point, we're in a full-blown battle. He fist ball, punch, kick, slap. I'm getting my ass whooped. Worse than I ever have in my entire life. So I'm like, okay, this just might be it. This just might be the end. So I'm literally screaming bloody murder. At this point, we're out of the house and we're in the hallway and we fighting down the stairs. I'm up on the second level. We fighting down the stairs. We get to the first floor and I'm starting to see blood. So all of the blood is mine. I don't know where it's coming from at this point. Mind you, I'm screaming. Nobody helped. I saw people looking in the blinds. I saw shadows in front of the window. I'm screaming, asking these people to help me. Nobody came out of that apartment. Nobody called 911. Nobody helped me. It's me and this nigga. I'm full of blood. It's stuff everywhere. We get outside. I remember that I have my phone in this house coat that I have. I pull my phone out to call 911. He take the phone, smash it, step on it, and he still. So now I don't even have a phone to call. So in my mind, I'm literally like, I'm done. And I thought that like Dylan was gonna wake up and I wasn't gonna be there no more. And so eventually he ended up leaving. And what hit me is that nobody helped me, right? These people I live in an apartment complex with, we talk every day. Y'all hear me screaming bloody murder, asking for help. You can hear the scuffle and nobody helped me. So he ends up leaving and I bang on the door downstairs and I told the lady, I said, you don't have to open up this door for me. I need you to call 911. Please. Like, I need medical attention. Like, I need you to call 911. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna call 911. So 911 ends up coming. They probably were there in like 10 minutes. I think my adrenaline and stuff was literally like going so much. I started to calm down and I looked at myself and oh my God, like I'm covered in blood. I don't even look recognizable. I don't know how long we were fighting for. I don't know. My fingers, like the blood vessels in my fingers were popped. Like it was so bad. And all I could do is thank God that my son, like, slept through the whole thing. Let me say, to this day, Dylan is going to sleep. Okay. He is going to sleep. He slept through that whole thing and he didn't have to hear or he didn't have to witness what happened to me. And I can't help but to be thankful for that. So I'm covered in, it's blood on the floor. There's blood everywhere, like everywhere. So they ended up putting a warrant out for his arrest. And they ended up catching him, I think the week before Christmas. And I think they kept him 30 days because he was on probation and that was considered a violation. And we ended up in the state of Wisconsin. I don't know if it's still like this, but they make you press charges. Like even if you don't want to press charges, I think maybe just back then, but they make you press charges. So they told me that whether I wanted to or not, the charges are going to be pressed because the situation was just too severe for them not to. So I had to go to court and do the whole thing. So we ended up going to court and like, thank you. It was the worst thing I could have ever done. I felt like I had got abused all over again. His mom was there supporting. Again, I'm dealing with another mom that enables. This woman literally told me, cussed me out in the courtroom and told me I should have never had the white people in his business. I didn't have to call the police. Him and I could have handled it without the police. Okay. Okay, girl. Our case ended up going to trial. he, if I remember correctly, represented himself. So it was me, him in a courtroom with the jury. He told the story in a way to make it seem like the violence was mutual. He sat up there and told those people that I was violent against him, and he was responding to that. I had never been violent with him. I had never put my hands on this nigga. That's what he said. He did it so good to the point where the jury believed him. Mm-hmm. The jury believed him. So what did they charge him with? I actually looked it up before I got here for our case. They charged him with disorderly conduct. What else did he get charged with? Let's see. So they charged him with criminal damage to property. They did some type of domestic abuse modifier. They charged him of theft of less than $2,500, and then they charged him of disorderly conduct. Now, mind you, none of the main charges had anything to do with the domestic violence. It basically was disorderly conduct, and he stole my shit. He was set to pay me restitution for $600. And now that I'm looking at this, I need to call them because for some reason, it looks like I was supposed to get some type of money because it says victim name info not on entry, not stated. So it almost looks like they were trying to contact me, which is wild because they had all of my information. And so if I was supposed to get some money, then they need to run me my shit. And once the court case was over, I never saw, I never went back. I was done. And I have been single ever since. So my journey of everything it was a very dark and it was a difficult 10 years, and it was full of trauma. And I think it's okay to say that I healed from most of it, but I didn't realize how much that trickled down into a lot of my situations after. I think I would say to this day, I don't really feel safe in close quarters with men, like by myself, because in my mind, they're unpredictable. I found throughout the years, still some of that compliance because I don't want them to be mad at me. So I'm quick to be like, I understand. I'm sorry. No worries, because I don't want to piss you off because I don't want to see what comes with that, the trauma. And I would say until recently, there was a large part of me that felt like I had something to prove to men. It was like, hey, I'm good enough. Hey, I'm pretty enough. Hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm this, I'm that, because of how I was treated in the past. And I feel like I was never viewed as like a person with like, feelings and shit. So I found that after those two situations, I was always just trying to prove myself to men. Like, and I don't know, I realized that it stemmed from many things, but being in these abusive relationships, that really was the main factor. So I had to get to the point where I realized, like, I don't have to prove my worthiness. I don't have to prove shit to them. Like, I don't know why I went through what I went through. And I know that I don't, and I did not deserve any of it at all. And I pray to God that I never in my life have to experience anything remotely close to it again. Now, I will say with my ex, I feel like both karma kicked both of their asses now that I think about it. But with my ex, shortly after our situation, now mind you, he was perfectly healthy. Shortly after our situation, he ended up having a stroke and ended up needing a heart transplant. And the only reason I found that out was because one of my family members saw one of his family members and brought it up. And I remember when they said that, and I was like, he played around with my heart and he didn't care about me, and now he need a heart. Go figure. And I didn't care that I said that. But he lost his speech. He lost his mobility. And I think there was like a video or something that I had seen that was like shared on Facebook somewhere of him, because he's still in his organization, and he was trying to talk or like make it through whatever speech, and he still is not able to speak like normally. Now that could have been a coincidence, but I truly believe in my heart of hearts that that was karma. And I didn't wish bad. I just wish both of them the life they deserved. And I feel like that's exactly what it was that happened. So when you hear those situations and you look at me as far as the way I am today, that's why, like I said, I acknowledge that I have an issue sometimes with the need to control things, but that's because for 10 years of my life, I had no control over anything, including myself. And so once I felt like I took that power back, it's like, I don't ever want to be in a position where anybody's able to take that from me. The blind compliance. I'm going to ask you questions, and it's probably going to get on your nerves, but I'm going to keep asking you the questions until I get what I need from them. Because there was a time in my life where my voice meant nothing and I was not able to ask questions. I just had to go and do, and that was it. So a lot of who I am today, the stuff and the bad stuff, are a response to my past and what it was that I have gone through. It takes a lot for me to feel like, let me get some water. I do feel like I got the short end of the stick with a lot, but I'm learning how to change my mindset around that. And it's a process, but I'm working on it. And yeah, I feel like this story, I feel like this is the sides that I'm still working on. I know I can't care about this, but I hope nobody listens to this and they're like, cringe. Or I hope it's not viewed as oversharing, you know? I'm not supposed to care, but there's just a small part of me that's like, did I say too much? I didn't want to get emotional because I feel like that people look at that as cringy too. But I mean, we're here now. The last graphic that I have is a graphic for you all to be able to know the signs of someone that is experiencing a domestic violence situation. If you see these signs, oh, you know what? Let's do this. And I forgot to do something. So it says they prevent you from spending time with family or friends. They blame you for their abusive behavior and make you feel guilty. They put you down, call you names, or say and do things that erode your self-esteem. They text or call all the time and get angry if you don't answer. So those are definitely the signs. It says abuse often begins long before it becomes physical. And I definitely believe that's true. Even with all of these signs, you all heard me mention a couple of these. So if you or somebody you know are experiencing these things, please just make sure that you take it seriously. I was getting ready to close out and I completely forgot to talk about my niece, which is not a long story. June 11th, 2016, which was about 6 months after my situation. So my situation was December 2015, and my niece was killed June 11th of 2016. It was about 6 a.m. My mom called and said that she was told something bad happened to my niece. They didn't know exactly what, but they were going to head to the scene. The scene was on 5th and Keith. To this day, I cannot drive down that street. It makes me feel, I get anxious, my nervous system. If I have to go that way, I have to go around. About an hour later, my mom and my sister and my aunt made it to the scene, and my niece was dead. She got stabbed to death by her estranged boyfriend at that time, who she had been with for 10 years. He was also the father of their 2 small children at the time, because the girls were small at that time. My niece was in the process of leaving. Her entire trunk was filled with her belongings and her children's belongings. It appeared like she was going to go back for her kids, and she never got the opportunity to. Now, here's the part that pissed me off about her case. About 2:30 a.m., the police were, so it's the gas station that's right there on Atkinson. So it's like Atkinson, Keith, and I think Port Washington, like all of those streets cross. There's a gas station that's closer to the freeway side.
There's one on each side
of
the freeway. One's closest to Keith, probably. No, closest to...
Not the BP.
Martin Luther King.
No, not the BP. The other one.
No, the BP is closer to Martin Luther King. The other one is closer to the freeway.
The one that's closer to the freeway.
So that's the Amico or whatever.
I think so.
The BP was
because my stepdad used to own the bar that touches the gas station.
Okay, that's not the BP.
Yeah, no, it's not the BP at all. Okay. It's the one that you go over the bridge.
Oh, you were telling me not the BP. Yes.
You go over the bridge and then that gas station.
Yeah, that's the one closest to MLK.
Yes, that is MLK. Yes, you're right. Yep, I couldn't picture it in my mind. And the bar in front, my stepdad owned. So at some point throughout that night, they were fighting, and he was following her down Keith. I can't remember I don't know if my stepdad was outside the bar or in the bar, but he said he saw her that night, and him and her and the boyfriend were arguing. My stepdad was the last one to see her alive, and without us even realizing it. They went to the gas station. They're fighting outside of the gas station. The camera footage from the gas station shows them pulling and tugging her purse. So he's trying to take her purse from her, and they're fighting. Somehow the police pull up. It's 2:30 in the morning. The police tell them to separate. You go your way and you go that way. They sent her walking down Keith and Atkinson at almost 3 a.m. by herself. He's in a car at this point. They tell him to drive off. The camera showed him driving off in another direction, and it showed him circling and coming back, if I remember correctly. Within an hour of them separating them, he had killed her. Whereas if the police had done more, I feel like she would still be alive. But y'all see a domestic situation happening. You tell them to separate, and y'all go y'all separate ways, and she's dead within an hour.
So they just left after they separated them?
They left. This is all. We got the camera from my stepdad's bar, and we got the camera footage from the gas station. You can see them going back and forth. It was almost like he was trying to get money or something from her. This nigga killed her. He go home, clean up, get rid of the weapon. This nigga come back to the scene and park outside of the house where her body is. So when they arrested him on the scene of the crime. And to this day, he swear he didn't do it. But you got arrested there. You went home, changed, got rid of the weapon, and came back. By this time, I got to the scene right as the medical examiner was leaving. His sister gets there. She's yelling, he didn't do it. He was with me all night. Girl, he is on multiple cameras and there's multiple witnesses. He wasn't with you all night. He was over here. They arrested him from here. So recent developments. Mind you, it took him, this happened June 11, 2016. He didn't get charged until October 6, 2022. It took us 6 years for him to get charged with 30 years. He apologized. And if I'm not mistaken, when we was in court, he admitted to it. Now he's appealing and saying that he didn't do it and he know who did it. I don't know what this means. They're giving him the time of day, but I guess they have to. I guess if he appeals, they can't ignore it. But if you knew who killed her, then why wouldn't you say that in 2016? They got a confession out of you. And then he tried to say that he was coerced into the confession. It's really been a shit show. My niece was younger than me. She was 3 years younger than me. So when she passed away, she was only 20. This is 2016. How many years ago was that? That was 8 years ago. I'm 37.
8 years ago, yeah.
So she had to have been 25 or 26, and she left behind 2 girls. The oldest was about 8 or 9, and her youngest was like 1. So she literally she's never going to know who her mom or her dad is because they literally are both gone at this point. My niece and I had talked. So what's crazy, Dylan had a birthday party. His birthday's June 7th. I had just saw my niece 4 days before she was killed. And at that time, you could tell she was done with him. And I had opened up and was telling her about the situation I had just went through with my domestic violence situation, and she was over it. So to know that I had just saw her 4 days prior to her being like dead, I was not expecting that. We consider him family. He was literally around us for 10 years. He was at our family gatherings, and to us, he was family. I never would have thought in a million years that he would have killed her in such a graphic way. I never saw it coming, like at all. And it literally was just like the most devastating thing that as a family we had to go through. And sometimes it's just so crazy to me thinking about the fact that she's not here, and it's all because of him. So yeah. So we're going to a WTF moment.
I have no control over whether or not that's going to work on time or not, but
it blinked. Hold on.
There we go.
There you go. I don't know if you all knew, no or not. Megan Thee Stallion has a documentary that is out on Amazon Prime, and I do recommend watching it.
I watched it.
It is. You did? You watched the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What were your thoughts? I cried.
My understanding of her relationship with her mother was completely
different.
I did not know that was her relationship. I didn't know that how close they were.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she was in there like telling her how to rhyme. And I mean, that touched my soul, because I remember when I was trying to rap, I was making beats and I was in the basement. I was making all this noise and beats was just rumbling through the house. And my mother never, ever, ever, ever complained. She never told me to turn it down, never told me anything. And as a matter of fact, she would come down sometimes and like give me like, hey, you should put some like,
oh yeah, I remember you said that.
You should put some bongos in there.
So it's kind of like the same.
It's very similar. So that I was like, and when she said she was just gone like that, like out of nowhere.
I knew, because I was living in Houston around the time when Megan started blowing up, because Big Old Freak, like in the club in Houston, like to this day, like that, yeah, like that's my shit. So I did know about the relationship with her mom. And she was the only child, and that was just so sad. Like, and she was saying that when her mom being gone, she didn't have anybody there to tell her or like really help her, like the way her mom, if you saw some of those scenes when she was in rehearsals and stuff, her mom was like, no, like you need to redo that. That needs to be harder. Like you need to put a little bit more oomph on that. Like her mom was dead ass, like serious. And what else did you think?
I respected her stance. I respected her story. I respected her attempt to try to save people's lives during the moment of tragedy. I see where she had to change the story up a little bit to try to keep the black man from being, and then I see how of a hoe he was when he
taunted her repeatedly.
He did,
and so many different. You walked past her with a mask on.
I believe the story. I believe the whole entire story.
Yeah. It's just I didn't know how anxious, like in some of those scenes, like she was so scared.
It was really emotion, and she did not give herself time to grieve. She did not allow her time to grieve.
But the thing that pissed me off too was, I don't know what it's like to be a celebrity. The people around her knew what she went through. But if you remember the scene with the guy named Sam from Rock Nation, he was going over her schedule. She said, Sam, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And he's like, oh, okay. So, okay. It was just like he kept going. And she's like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And it's like nobody heard. And then Lorianne Gibson, after the SNL performance, when Meg was like, don't piss me off. She was doing too much. Meg was saying she didn't feel good. And she's like, stars are made. You pushed through it and you didn't. She's telling you that I'm about to puke. You can look at her face and tell that she was not all the way there. It's like she went way further than she should have.
I mean, to step on stage, because her foot was still injured on SNL. Because
that was still.
Because remember, she was still walking up. They had to practice walking up the steps.
And her foot was wrapped up.
Yeah,
her foot was wrapped up. I remember that SNL performance. She was crying.
She ripped it though.
She did, but I'm like, she is crying.
She killed it, and she knew. I mean, when you get to that level, I mean, we see what Diddy and all the stuff was going on. When you get to that level, there is nothing else important but you performing. Look at Michael Jackson and Prince. I mean, they did everything they possibly could to stay awake to perform. So even the biggest stars pushed themselves to the limit so that they can actually honor what they're.
She kept saying, "I'm tired. I haven't slept.
She don't want to be.
It's just like looking her to see, like she was so alone, and to look at it from her perspective, like she said, everybody. She literally said, she was like, Ferris, everybody hates me. She said everybody they hate me.
And it wasn't even true though.
All of them, she said, the men in the industry, they all like everybody. I don't know who to trust. I'm on edge all the time. I don't know how to manage this. Like she would be fine one second, and the next second she would be crying.
And that whole debacle with the record label, the manager from the original label, she didn't even talk much about.
He was in the footage, but she didn't talk about.
She didn't talk about that.
He was there, Carl.
I mean, that was dirty, and that's.
She didn't talk about her ex either. He was there, but I don't think they show any face shots. I think they only show him from the back, but she didn't talk about that chapter either. Because after SNL, you didn't really. Well, you saw him a few other times after that, but she didn't really talk about him much. But to be surrounded and to be like having a function in a world where you feel like everybody is literally against you, you log in and people making fun of you and they blaming you and nobody's taking it serious, and you still got to show up and do like. I didn't know when she was doing these lives and twerking and shaking ass on stage, she was going backstage and weeping.
You see where it didn't. I mean, it hurt her, but it didn't hurt her. Like she's still completely marketable. She's still,
she said like, I'm done. Like I ain't letting nobody else play in my face. Like, and she still has moments because even we went to her concert and it was amazing. But when they did that whole sex tape thing, when just a couple months ago, she was on stage and she was crying because it's like, damn, this is something else I got to go through. I will always be rooting for her. Always be rooting for her. Always wanting the best for her. Always wanting to see her just succeed and do better, because I feel like so much was taken away from her as far as like her mental and her emotional, and she did not deserve that. And so I'm really just hoping for her to be able to come back 100-fold and be able to recover and recoup. And I feel like she's in a good place right now, but I'm glad that I hate what she went through, but I'm glad that she did this documentary to see what things look like from her perspective. I mean, they have footage from so long ago that they were able to put together, which I thought was amazing that they were even able to have that much footage. So it's on Amazon Prime if you didn't get a chance to watch it. But it kind of ties in, you know. She went through a domestic violence situation, and it was like the first thing in her mind was helping him, and nobody wanted to help her. And this nigga on camera chopping up horse legs, and you walking past her in a mask, like you taunting her at this point. It's like, what are you doing? And nobody is taking it serious.
I have to do a little bit more research on it, but I heard something about his case being expedited, his appeal being expedited.
Yeah, they're appealing him.
But it's just interesting that something of that magnitude would be expedited past a lot of other people's stuff. So
they have a right to an appeal. Like I said,
the speed of it,
money,
the speed. Oh yeah.
When money is a factor, you can make anything shake.
That is true.
Now, is he going to be able to get out? I'm not exactly sure, but
Hey, that
They
phone,
played that call, and I
that
was like,
phone
"That's
call-
it for me." Look, that was it for me
that
because
phone call
you
was like,
sound guilty as hell.
he didn't say. I mean,
He didn't say, "Oh, I shot her." He was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry for what
I
happened."
didn't tell you one of my pastimes is listening to forensic files when I'm actually doing the deliveries and whatnot. So it don't help that
Are
I'm
you
actually
insane? Why would
I'm
you do
going
that
at a
to
night.
yourself?
It keeps my mind going, and I'm listening to the stories. But every time they have to, everything has to line up, and sometimes even a call like that isn't enough. It just isn't
Because
enough.
he didn't outright just
He didn't
say
outside. A good lawyer, like he didn't say anything. It's meaningless. I mean, it's all assumption. It's all assumption. You're making an inference, and nothing was stated that.
And she like, y'all talking about who I'm fucking and why, and nobody is talking about what he did to me. I am confused. She said
none of that got to do with it. He shot me.
Like none of this have to do with anything, and this is what y'all focus on.
I'm glad she said, "Yeah, I lied to Gail."
She said, "I was like, girl, listen,
I didn't even mind.
Let me tell you, you can ask me, hey, you know,
that had nothing,
and
to
I
do
can
with
very
nothing.
well be doing it, and I'm gonna tell you no, because ain't none of your business." So yeah, I would have lied too, because they ain't got shit to do with what we talking about. No. So yeah, I'm just always gonna be rooting for her. Y'all probably was waiting for me to say something about the thing that happened yesterday, but I'm gonna let y'all have it. It's definitely a what the fuck moment for the rest of the year, but I don't have the capacity.
We need time to mourn.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in to this installment of Conversations with Coco. I am back. All of my shows are not going to be heavy. I just need to kind of get that out the chamber. But I am going to have some special guests for this season, some different topics, and we're going to have fun. I think the good thing about me being on break is that I think I was able to figure out like what my purpose is here. And I definitely want to bring conversations to the table that are not happening in other places that I feel like needs to be had, or conversations that I actually want to have that I feel like might be useful to other people. And as always, I'm willing to tell my story and my testimony and put myself on the line if I think that it's going to help somebody else. It is not the easiest, but there's purpose behind it, and it'll all make sense one day. So until next time, I'm going to call y'all back.